Welcome to this deep dive. We're going to be exploring cycles, life, death, and rebirth. But we're really going to be looking at how these cycles, actually manifest in nature.
Yeah, it's easy to kind of think about these things as like separate ideas, but
Mm.
you know, it's amazing when you start to see how they're all interconnected.
Yeah,
It's like this, really complex web, and every little, even the tiniest organism has such an important role.
it's going to be fascinating. I think this is going to be one of those deep dives where I come out of it looking at the world totally differently.
I think so.
So let's start with something we all experience, the, four seasons.
Yeah.
We kind of think of them as just weather patterns, but I feel like there's something deeper there.
Yeah. The seasons are so much more than just changes in temperature. They're really potent symbols for, stages of life,
Hmm.
kind of universal clock that ticks for every living thing.
Hmm.
So, like spring, for example.
Yeah.
It's not just about flowers blooming. It's about this, renewal, this bursting forth with new beginnings, just like a seed pushing through the soil.
Yeah.
It's that same energy of childhood, like pure potential waiting to unfold.
It's beautiful the way you put that. And so if spring is like childhood, then summer must be like, hitting adulthood. Is that right?
Yeah. You got to, summer's all about reaching full potential,
Mm-hmm.
basking in the warmth and the abundance, just like a plant stretching towards the sun,
Mm-hmm.
soaking up every bit of energy it can get.
Mm-hmm.
It's this time of outward expression, peak vitality, just like those years in adulthood, when we're really firing on all cylinders.
Makes sense. I've always found autumn, though, to be a little bittersweet.
Yeah.
Like I love the colors, but there's also the sense of things winding down.
Yeah.
I feel kind of a melancholy in the air.
Yeah, you're picking up on something really profound there. Autumn is this time for reflection. It's about letting go,
Okay.
like those leaves surrendering to gravity,
Mm.
changing colors, returning to the earth.
Mm.
It mirrors a stage in our lives when we begin to reevaluate,
Mm.
like reaching middle age and shifting our focus from outward achievements to more inward contemplation.
So then that leaves us with winter, which always seems so stark and lifeless compared to the other seasons. So I'm curious, what's the, hidden meaning tucked away in all that stillness?
Yeah, winter can be deceptive. It's not an ending, It's more like a pause,
Okay.
a time for deep rest and preparation.
Yeah.
Think about, animals hibernating, conserving their energy, waiting for the cycle to begin anew.
Yeah.
Just like in our later years when things start to slow down, we have this chance to look back on our experiences, gather wisdom, and prepare for what comes next.
I love these parallels with the seasons. It's like nature's giving us a roadmap for our own journeys.
Yeah, and these patterns become even more evident when we look at the plant kingdom.
Hmm.
I mean, the life cycle of a plant, from a tiny seed to its eventual decomposition, it really does mirror our own experience in some pretty remarkable ways.
Okay, so this is where it gets fascinating for me because, a tiny seed just has so much potential. It just needs the right conditions to sprout.
Yeah,
It's like all our dreams, our talents, they're all there, just waiting for the right environment to flourish.
exactly. And once that seed germinates,
Mhm.
the growth is just astounding.
Yeah.
But what's really remarkable is that plants, they don't just grow, they adapt.
Right.
They respond to challenges, they adjust to changes in light or water availability. They're constantly striving to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this powerful reminder that, we too, we can navigate obstacles, we can bend without breaking, and ultimately we can find a way to bloom even in the face of adversity.
And then comes flowering, which of course is all about beauty, but I have to imagine there's something more to it than that.
Yeah, flowering is definitely about more than just aesthetics.
Yeah.
It's about, reproduction, ensuring the continuation of the species.
Mm.
So if we apply that to our own lives, it's not just about having children. It's about the legacy that we leave behind. What knowledge do we share? What impact do we have on others? What contributions do we make to the world?
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that our actions, our very existence, can ripple outward and create something that lives on long after we're gone.
But eventually, even the most vibrant flower wilts and decays, and it's easy to see that as just an ending, but I'm sensing we need a different perspective here.
Yeah, decay is essential.
Yeah.
It's a vital part of the cycle.
Hmm.
It's not about things ending. It's about transformation.
Okay.
The decayed plant enriches the soil. It provides nutrients for new life to emerge.
Yeah.
And just like in our own lives, our experiences, even the difficult ones, they shape us, they enrich our understanding, and they ultimately contribute to something bigger than ourselves.
Wow, this is really giving me a whole new appreciation for how interconnected everything is in nature. But now I'm curious about the animal kingdom, because things get a little more wild when we enter that realm.
Yeah, the animal kingdom is definitely raw and often unpredictable.
Oh,
But the cycles of life and death are just as profound,
yeah.
maybe even more so because of that rawness.
Mm-hmm.
One aspect that can be tough to reconcile is predation.
Right.
But it's crucial to remember that it's not just about violence.
Okay.
It's a vital force in maintaining balance within the ecosystem.
So it's like a natural system of checks and balances. Predators keep prey populations in check, and that, prevents overgrazing and makes sure that there are enough resources for other species.
Precisely. And within that system, there's constant competition, which is
Yeah.
this driving force of evolution. It's
Mm.
not always about being the strongest or the fastest.
Right.
It's about being the most adaptable, the most resourceful. And that's a lesson that we can all apply to our own lives.
Absolutely. And speaking of adaptability, I mean, animal migration is just a phenomenal example.
Oh, yeah.
The incredible journeys that some animals undertake, facing hardship and danger. It's truly a testament to their resilience and their deep-seated instincts.
Like the monarch butterfly, for instance.
Yeah. Wow.
This tiny creature migrating thousands of miles across multiple generations, navigating by the sun and the Earth's magnetic field.
It's unbelievable.
Talk about incredible. The monarch just embodies the power of instinct and resilience on this epic scale.
Mind-blowing. And it's not just instinct. Our sources mention how elephants, they demonstrate mourning behaviors when a member of their herd dies.
Mm.
They'll often touch the bones of the deceased, sometimes even returning to the site for years afterwards.
Yeah, this behavior has led scientists to believe that elephants experience complex emotions, potentially even grief.
Mm.
It challenges us to rethink what we assume about animal intelligence and their emotional depth.
Mm.
It kind of blurs the lines between us and them, reminding us that we're all part of this interconnected web of life.
It's humbling and awe-inspiring, but now let's turn our attention to something that might seem like the opposite of life, natural disasters.
Okay.
They're these forces of nature that can be terrifying and destructive.
On the surface, natural disasters like wildfires, floods,
Yeah.
earthquakes, they seem purely destructive.
Right.
But here's where it gets really fascinating.
Okay.
These events, while devastating, are also crucial for renewal.
Mm.
They act as a reset button for ecosystems clearing the way for new life to emerge. Take wildfires, for example.
Yeah.
They can be incredibly destructive, but some plant species actually need fire to release their seeds.
Oh, wow.
It's like nature's way of saying, sometimes you got to clear out the old to make way for the new.
It's incredible how those two things are so close together in nature, destruction and creation.
Yeah.
It's like a constant dance between those two things, and yet it creates this amazing balance.
Exactly. And it's not just about fire. Think about floods.
Yeah.
They can cause immense damage, but they also redistribute sediment, enrich the soil, and create new habitats.
Mm.
It's a reminder that even events that seem, purely destructive can have unexpected benefits reshaping the landscape in a way that allows new life to flourish.
It's like sometimes in our own lives we have to go through difficult things, even loss, to make room for growth and new opportunities.
You're hitting on a key point there.
Yeah.
The cycles of nature, they offer us so many parallels for understanding our own experiences.
Yeah.
And speaking of resilience, our sources mention the eruption of Mount St. Helens back in 1980.
Oh, yeah, that was a massive eruption, wasn't it? I remember seeing pictures of the devastation. It looked like a moonscape.
It was a truly catastrophic event.
Yeah.
But here's what's remarkable. Even in the face of such complete devastation, life found a way to return.
Wow.
Scientists were astonished by how quickly plants and animals began to recolonize the area. Within just a few years, the landscape was teeming with new life.
It's so hopeful, it's like this reminder that even when things seem hopeless, nature has this incredible ability to bounce back, to regenerate, to find a way forward.
Exactly. It's a testament to the resilience of life itself. And speaking of transformation, let's talk about a process that's essential to this whole cycle. Even though it might make some listeners squirm a bit, decomposition.
Okay, I'll admit decomposition isn't exactly the most glamorous topic.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to embrace the squirm factor if it means understanding these cycles better.
Well, decomposition is nature's ultimate recycling system.
Okay.
It's not just about things rotting away. It's about turning death into new life. All those different stages of decomposition, from that initial breakdown to the formation of rich soil, They all play a role in returning nutrients to the ecosystem.
So it's like even in death, there's continuation, contribution to the cycle. It's not really an ending, but a transformation into something new.
Exactly. And those nutrients that are released through decomposition, they fuel plant growth, which in turn supports the entire food web.
Hmm.
It's a beautiful illustration of how interconnected everything is.
This is blowing my mind. It's like we've been looking at all these individual pieces, seasons, life cycles, disasters, but now we're seeing how they all fit together, how they're woven into this intricate tapestry of life.
And if we step back and look at this tapestry from, broader perspective, it's fascinating to consider how different cultures around the world have interpreted these cycles, particularly when it comes to life and death.
Yeah. Our sources mention that many indigenous cultures don't see life and death as, separate events with a hard beginning and end.
Right.
Instead, they view them as part of a continuous cycle deeply intertwined with nature.
Exactly. For many indigenous cultures, death isn't an end. It's a transition to another realm, another form of existence. And their rituals and ceremonies often reflect this cyclical understanding, celebrating the interconnectedness of life, death, and rebirth.
It's such a contrast to the more linear view of life that's common in, Western cultures, where the focus is often on individual achievement and progress, striving towards some future goal.
It's a striking contrast, and it makes you wonder if some of the challenges we face today, like our disconnect from nature and the environmental crisis, they stem from that more linear, individualistic perspective.
Yeah.
And what if we shifted our worldview to embrace this cyclical understanding, this recognition that we're all part of something much larger than ourselves?
It's a profound question. And, speaking of different cultural perspectives, our sources mentioned a few specific examples that I found really interesting.
Oh, that's like what?
Well, like the Hindu deity Shiva, who represents both destruction and creation.
Shiva's a fascinating figure. He's often depicted as the destroyer of worlds, but his destruction isn't malicious. It's a necessary force that makes way for new creation.
Right.
It's a reminder that endings are also the beginnings cure, a concept that aligns beautifully with, what we've been talking about, with the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth.
And there's also the Greek myth of Persephone and Demeter, which offers a, really poetic explanation for the changing seasons.
Yes. The myth of Persephone is a classic example of how ancient cultures use storytelling to explain natural phenomena. Persephone's descent into the underworld brings about winter, while her return to the surface heralds the arrival of spring. It's a beautiful metaphor for the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth, and how those cycles are reflected in the natural world around us.
These myths and stories, they offer us such rich ways of understanding these really profound concepts.
They do.
And it seems like every culture has its own unique way of grappling with these big questions, about life, death, and the meaning of it all.
Absolutely. It's a testament to the human desire to make sense of our place in the universe, to find meaning in the cycles of existence.
Yeah.
And, exploring these different cultural perspectives can offer us some valuable insights into our own lives, our own beliefs, and our own ways of relating to the natural world.
I'm starting to see how all these threads we've been exploring, seasons, life cycles, disasters, cultural myths, they're all connected.
Yeah.
They're all pointing to this fundamental truth about impermanence, about the constant flow of change that shapes our world and our experiences.
And what's remarkable is that nature doesn't just teach us about impermanence. It shows us how to thrive within those cycles of change.
Right.
It's this constant process of adaptation, resilience, and renewal.
It's like that old saying, the only constant is change.
Yeah.
It's so easy to resist that, to cling to what's familiar. But nature shows us that letting go is often the key to growth and new beginnings.
Think about a forest after a fire. It looks devastating at first, but then new life emerges from the ashes, often stronger and more diverse than before. It's a powerful metaphor for how we can approach challenges in our own lives.
Yeah, there's such a beauty in that process of decay and renewal, even though it can be messy and unpredictable.
Yeah.
It's like nature saying, trust the process, let go of what needs to go, and make space for something new to emerge.
And, that brings us to a really crucial point, the importance of conservation. Because if we want these cycles to continue, if we want to keep learning from nature's wisdom, we need to protect the natural world.
We've been talking about climate change and, human impact on these cycles, but it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the scale of the problem.
Yeah.
It's like, what can one person do?
Well, I think it starts with recognizing that we're all connected to these cycles.
Yeah.
And our actions have an impact.
Right.
Even small changes in our daily lives can contribute to a larger solution.
So things like, reducing our consumption, choosing sustainable products, conserving energy supporting organizations that are working to protect ecosystems, all those things matter.
Absolutely. And don't underestimate the power of simply spending time in nature.
Yeah.
The more we connect with the natural world, the more we appreciate its beauty and its importance, the more likely we are to want to protect it.
It's like building a relationship. The more time we spend with someone, the more we care about their well-being. And it's the same with nature.
And, it's not just about protecting nature for future generations.
Right.
It's about our own well-being.
Yeah.
Studies have shown that spending time in nature has numerous physical and mental health benefits.
It reduces stress, improves mood, boosts creativity, even strengthens our immune systems. It's like nature is offering us this source of healing and renewal if we just take the time to connect with it.
And that connection, I think, is what brings us full circle to that idea of embracing the cycle of life. It's about recognizing that we're part of something much bigger than ourselves, something ancient and enduring.
And that within those cycles, there's a rhythm, a flow that we can learn to dance with.
Yeah.
It's not about resisting change, but about flowing with it, adapting to it, and finding the beauty in each season of life.
And just as a seed needs the right conditions to germinate,
Right.
we need to nurture ourselves, cultivate our inner resources, and create a supportive environment for growth.
So it's not just about understanding these cycles intellectually.
Right.
It's about embodying them, living in harmony with them, both within ourselves and in our relationship with the natural world.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that, we're not separate from nature. We're an integral part of it.
Yeah.
And when we care for ourselves, when we care for the planet, we're essentially caring for the very cycles that sustain us.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like I'm seeing the world around me with fresh eyes, noticing the interconnectedness of everything in a whole new way.
I'm so glad to hear that. And, this exploration, it doesn't have to end here. There's always more to discover, more to learn, more to experience.
I'm definitely feeling inspired to keep digging deeper into these ideas. Maybe I'll try some of those mindfulness techniques our sources mentioned, like nature walks or outdoor meditation.
Those are great ways to deepen your connection with nature and tune into, those subtle cycles unfolding all around you. And you could even explore some of the cultural perspectives that we discussed. Perhaps research a specific myth or tradition that resonates with you. The possibilities are endless.
And I think that's a perfect note to end on. It feels like we've been on this incredible journey, in this deep dive.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
From tiny seeds to these vast ecosystems.
From, the delicate dance of decomposition to the incredible power of natural disasters.
And through it all, we've seen how life, death, and rebirth are all woven together into this amazing tapestry of nature.
And how those cycles are mirrored in our own lives.
Yeah, in our own experiences of growth and change and renewal.
It's almost like nature's holding up a mirror, inviting us to see ourselves reflected in these grand cycles.
And to learn from its wisdom.
To embrace the impermanence of all things.
To find the beauty in both creation and destruction.
To understand that endings are also beginnings.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious.
Yeah, what stands out to you?
What insights or ideas have really resonated?
Perhaps it's, the resilience of a forest after a fire.
Or the way that a tiny seed holds the potential for an entire tree.
Or maybe it's the recognition that we're all interconnected.
Part of this vast web of life.
And that our actions have consequences, not just for ourselves, but for the entire planet.
I know I'm walking away from this conversation with such a renewed sense of awe and wonder at the natural world.
I do.
And also a deeper sense of responsibility to protect it.
Yeah.
To make choices that support these cycles, to honor that delicate balance of life.
Because ultimately, our well-being is tied to the well-being of the planet.
The nature.
And nature is us.
So let's keep exploring, stay curious, and let nature be our guide.
On this incredible journey of life, death, and rebirth.
Thanks for listening.